Hey, what's up, guys? This is Sam. I'm the Director of Equities at Simpler Trading, and I'll be doing the free video for Friday, August 13th, 2021. So, another week in the books, and a lot of rotation in this market. Very interesting stuff. Let's start the video here with maybe about a 30-second breakdown of how everything has been flowing. If you caught our video last week, we talked about this dynamic, and you certainly saw it in play this week, where it was kind of the hot hand approach to the market. It was tech, and then it was industrials and banks, and then it was a little bit of tech again, but it was mostly industrials, banks, things like that, like the inflationary trade. And if you watched last week's video, we talked about what to look for, what causes that. And in the short term, it won't always be this way, but in the short term, it's definitely the bond market. So if bonds go higher, interest rates go lower, then that favors tech. And really, when that happens, that's all you want to be in. And then when bonds go lower or interest rates go higher, that's an inflationary signal, and it starts to favor kind of the retail and industrials, financials, materials, things like that. So the most important thing that you can do this weekend is, as best as possible, with your own system, do a lot of charting on bonds and try to get as good of a read as you can on bonds so that you know where the money is going to flow, and then be willing to be fast or be willing to kind of get in and out of different sectors as the bond market dictates. So let's go ahead and dive in with that idea. And we'll try to make this one brief. I want to show you the bonds first because this is the signal, and then I want to show you what the signal is telling us to do in the stock market. So let's start here with bonds. This is a ZB. I think if you're going to chart bonds, do it the right way and do it with ZB. And you can see that they came into their 50-week simple moving average, and they failed twice, meaning that they kind of put in these wick candles here above that 50-week, but it never broke above. Now, with this structure, you see how it has a buy signal that's active, right? It was magenta and then green. That's an active buy signal. That remains in play. I don't have anything that would cancel that. I certainly don't have a sell signal on the weekly. But at the same time, this 50-week moving average is coming in so sharply, it's difficult to break it on the first or second test. So in this instance, understanding that this is going to be resistance, and then also understanding that this is trying to cross positively and go back into trend, the 21 right in this zone is going to act as support. And you can see that it's kind of creating this little bit of a wedging pattern, if you will, where it's just, there's not a whole lot of room there between resistance and support, resistance being the 50, support being the 21 on the weekly. And so you should be able to get a good move here in bonds pretty soon. And maybe it is just going ahead and starting now. I was looking for this to actually break lower, but there is a very nice bounce pattern here. So at least for now, I'm kind of just looking at it like a bounce pattern that should benefit. What sector does this benefit again? It benefits tech, right? Specifically tech. And you can see over here on the far right, this is an 8-hour chart. The squeeze, it didn't really have a squeeze, but you can see the squeeze histogram. It's rounding out. I call these smile patterns when they start doing the round out thing. You see it kind of looks like a smile. And then over here, the high-low oscillator, one, you have a buy signal. Two, it also looks like a smile. And then here, the trend oscillator, it's still above 50. Both of them are. And now the green is back above the red. So this looks like it could have a little bit of juice. Even if it kind of just pops and kind of gets somewhere back in that neighborhood up here, back to the previous highs, this is going to change the focus of the market. One last thing is, notice how the 8, 21, and 200 never really crossed bearishly. They got extremely close, but this giant candle fixes all of that. So understanding that this chart wants to go higher based on that, and that. Now, I'm not saying it breaks out necessarily, but it does look like it wants to bounce higher and then potentially test up here before it decides the next move. What does that mean we should be looking at? Well, it makes it pretty easy. We look at tech. So I looked at a lot of different tech sectors with the folks in the gold room, in the options gold room, and basically XLK just took the cake. It wasn't really even close. So this is the technology ETF. It's mostly Microsoft and it's mostly Apple. Both Microsoft and Apple individually have great setups. Now you can hedge your bets. and just buy this, and it's like buying 50% Apple, 50% Microsoft, or you can choose which one you like better between Microsoft and Apple. Personally, I think Apple's the better play, but you can certainly just hedge your bets with XLK. They basically look the same, but look at this setup here. Here you have a low here, a low here, a low here. A little bit of a flat top, I would argue, right? So you end up kind of having a little bit of a wedging pattern here as well, where you have the compression, and that's being shown over here on the squeeze. It's a 195-minute squeeze, and you can see there it has a little bit of an upward tail. So this chart's still perfectly aligned, and I think this offers the best way to look at next week. So I'll try to wrap it up here by just kind of putting everything together. Bonds look like they have an oversold bounce that's coming next week. If that is the case, then you will definitely want to stay focused on tech. So some of the best ones that I looked at was Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Google. But focusing here on just XLK, it would be Apple, Microsoft, or XLK. And I think that's really the best way to play it. Don't get too married to the idea, because that rotational element of bonds is definitely still in play. So if you get a signal that says that bonds are now kind of topping out and ready to go back lower, then you have to get out of the tech names and start looking at the industrials, financials, materials, things like that. But the signals here look good going into next week to focus on tech. And I really like Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Google, and XLK as a whole, as a play on the idea. So a little bit of a continuation of what we talked about last week, just kind of rounds out the idea and hopefully kind of crystallizes why the market is rotating so much. And for the answer to that, just look at the bond market. So next week, let's focus on tech to begin the week until proven otherwise by the bond market. All right, guys, that's my time. Thanks for stopping by our channel. Before you click off the page, before you go look at a cat video or dog video or whatever other videos you like on YouTube, leave us a like or a dislike. It's all good. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything, and then come and check us out at simplertrading.com. We'd like to see you there. It's a great community. We talk about this stuff all the time. If you're a trading nerd like all of us, you like making friends, making a little bit of money, come over and check us out at simplertrading.com. See you for the next one, guys. Have a great one. Cheers.
Without Simpler Trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency. It's one of the things that won me